Hello friends, welcome back to World of Dazzling Stories with the Torchbearers. Now today we are going to see Torchbearer part 4, which is Flicker. Let's see now what happens next when Vishnu, Kushal, Prem and her sister Samhita they met together. Let's see what's next. They are caught in a whirlwind. When Professor Tripathi's call ended abruptly, Dr. Madhvi pressed the phone's call back button. But there was no answer. She saw her three children's panicked expressions. Don't worry, phone calls drop all the time out here. Don't they, Samu? She reassured them. This is such a remote location. I'm used to it now. Kushal began to sit up. His mother helped him. Are you feeling a bit better, Kushal? Yes, Kushal groaned. What kind of snake was that? It bit me so fast. Dr. Madhvi looked fondly at her daughter. Samu's a walking animal encyclopedia. Dr. Madhvi turned to Kushal. Kushal, do you have any pain at the sight of the bite or a headache? No, I'm okay, mummy, Kushal said hesitantly. You know, I play any instrument you can get your hands on, his mother smiled. Just like my brother. I have saved all the recordings Amal have sent. And I still remember when you first tried to play a classical piece on the violin. I have at least 20 recordings of Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Samhita began to hum the tune softly. Dr. Madhavi joined in. Kushal's fingers moved of their own accord, pressing imaginary strings. Prem cleared his throat when they stopped. Did you know that Beethoven was partially deaf when he began composing it? And totally deaf when he finished it, Kushal finished. That's hard to believe, isn't it? That someone who couldn't hear could create something so beautiful to listen. Dr. Madhavi noted. I suppose some things are felt rather than known. The music must have been within him all along. Samhita had been looking thoughtfully at the torches outside the clinic, their flames reflected in her eyes. Ma, I wanted to ask you something. Earlier, when I found Prem and Kushal on the beach, we were able to make a fire to scare the snakes with the hint, you know. Dr. Madhvi looked closely at Samhita. You called Agni? And you had more than to spark? Samhita nodded. Yes, Mummy. It was a blaze, but only after they joined in. That's amazing, Dr. Madhvi breathed. Your father will be thrilled to hear it. He is being convinced that all three of your abilities must be strong, even if they have had to remain dormant. You called a god and not a minor one. You called the god of fire. The doctor's face lit up with amazement. Kushal and Prem looked at one another and then at their mother and Samhita. So that's what that was. Prem spoke in a whisper. In retrospect, that was so cool. Don't you mean that was so hot? Kushal smirked. I swear it's like Dad is here, groaned Prem. Then he dropped his eyes, shuffling his feet again. Dr. Madhavi rose and stepped closer to Prem. He and Amar will be fine. Prem, we'll call them again in the morning. Right now, you should all sleep. It's very late. Kushal, can you stand? Carefully there. Good. Let's all go into the clinic. We'll find you some scrubs to wear and some toothbrushes. The three children followed their mother into the clinic. They looked sideways at one another, thankful for the relative darkness as they realized that they each had gained long-lost family and that was cause enough for an ode to joy. The next morning, Samhita woke up with the dawn light as usual. She faced east and began to do her Surya Namaskar. As the sun rose, she closed her eyes in the bright rays. She loved this time of the morning. Her brothers were still sleeping in one of the clinic rooms. I brothers, Samhita thought to herself. Bemused, that will take some getting used to. As Samhita stretched her arms over her head for her sixth Surya Namaskar, she felt a chill. Bright sunlight suddenly diminished. She opened her eyes to see the sky darkening again. She heard a rushing sound coming from the direction of the ocean. Strange, she thought. That's not how the ocean usually sounds. She walked towards her mother, but her bed was empty. She reckoned that her mother had an early morning patient and walked into her brother's room. "Oh, Prem, Kushal, can you please wake up? There's something going on." It took them a few moments, but the boys eventually tumbled out of their cots. "What's going on?" Prem mumbled. "There's something dark in the sky, and do you hear that rushing sound?" Samita asked, her eyes searching that sky. "They're called clouds, and aren't we by the ocean?" Prem looked longingly at the lumpy cot, even as he moved his shoulders to get rid of the knots. "You woke us up for that?" A sharp gust of wind whipped through the clinic, knocking over jars of medicine and supplies. Two small birds flew in, circling Samita, chirping frantically. They said. Samu gestured to the birds and gave Prem an, "I told you! See? Look, something is happening." "Let's go to the beach," instead. With a doubtful shrug, Prem joined him. Samita followed, the birds still circling her. They arrived at the beach to see the ocean looking ominous. What do you mean by ominous? It is huge, large. The sky was slate colored, but in the distance there was a dark funnel-like shape detangling from the clouds. It looked like an elephant's trunk skimming the surface of the ocean. The three children watched as the first rays of the sun were swallowed by the towering clouds. When they turned their eyes to the spiraling trunk again, they saw that it had moved closer to them. Then their eyes traveled up the spiral to the place from where it emerged from the steel grey clouds. It's a spiral cloud. हमने कृष्णा महाभारत रामायण में देखा होगा कि वो तूफान आता है, वो बच्चे को उठा के ले जाते हैं, तो ये स्पाइरल से इट गोज पूरा से ऊपर चले जाते हैं. दैट स्पाइरल that had come. The clouds had parted to reveal a large torso attached to the trunk like an enormous genie. Blurry as if made of vapor and debris, the shape was that of an enormous head, broad shoulders and outstretched arms, tapering to a tornado beneath the waist. "What the?" Prem had no words. A rare experience for him. "It's that a..." Kushal nodded. "Maybe we can figure out what it is later and focus on what we are going to do about it now." Samita spoke. "But we have to know what it is to know what to do about it." "Well, it's wind, right?" Kushal reasoned. "Let's fight it with Vayu, the wind god." "But how?" Prem asked. "That time with Agni, it just sort of happened. How do we know it's going to happen again?" In the stories, Prem wrote, the characters always seem to know the procedure for any rituals. He had never given much thought to how the characters knew what to do. Kushal covered his ears. He hummed a note, low and resonant. "I can't think with all this whistling wind. We have to block out the world for a minute." "Oh, Amar Mama always has me start with a musical note," he explained. "You two try it. Match your note to mine." Kushal hummed the note again, and Prem and Samita adjusted their voices until they merged with Kushal's. Maybe it was their imagination, but the whistling of the storm seemed to fade for a moment. "Okay," said Prem, stopping for a breath. "Now what?" "Ma tells me to try and see the god in my mind," Samita offered. "But we don't really know what wind looks like, do we?" "No," Prem answered, "but we know what wind can do, right?" The three children closed their eyes, thinking about the wind. They kept their minds turned away from the ever closer storm demon. In their mind's eye, one saw wind lifting a kite, the other rustling trees, and the third thought about the gusting wind before a storm, but also the wind in their own lungs. The images swirled about, but with Kushal's hum still vibrating in their ears, they felt one verse float to the forefront of their minds. With their voices merging harmoniously, the torchbearers recited together. "O Vayu, swift as mind and thought, you hold the sail and kite string stout. You bring the rain, you scatter seeds. We call to you of noble deeds." The storm was moving parallel to the shore now, its arms curled up like a fighter showing off his biceps. A mouth seemed to open on its enormous head, and the children heard a tremendous roar. सी इसमें ये चीज़ अच्छी बताई ना कि जब आपको अपने वर्ल्ड से डिस्कनेक्ट होना होता है, आपको अपनी स्टडी पे कंसंट्रेशन करना है, आपको अपने काम पे कुछ कंसंट्रेट करना है, बट बाहर की आवाज़ें, बाहर की सब चीज़ें आपको डिस्टर्ब कर रही, तो आप क्या कर सकते हैं, कुछ भी आपका फेवरेट म्यूज़िकल हिम आप शुरू कर सकते हैं, कुछ भी आपका फेवरेट म्यूज़िक आप गुनगुनाना चालू कर सकते हैं। तो धीरे धीरे आपको लगेगा कि आप अपने में ही हो, आप बाहर से डिस्कनेक्ट हो चुके हो। And then you can start thinking about what you were thinking for. You can get the solution then. हर प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन आपको अपने आप से ही मिल जाता है, बट उसमें कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना ज़रूरी है। कॉन्सेंट्रेट आप एक ये तरीके से भी कर सकते हैं। और आपने देखा इसमें सिमिलीज मेटाफर्स कितने अच्छे से यूज़ किए हैं। जैसे फाइटर शोइंग ऑफ हिज बाइसेप्स किसके लिए यूज़ किया है, स्टॉर्म के लिए। तो वैसे ही बहुत सारे सिमिलीज एंड मेटाफर्स हैं इसमें, सिस्टमैटिकली डिस्क्रिप्टिव वाइज आप इसको अच्छे से सुनिए एंड यू कैन यूज देम इन द योर डिस्क्रिप्शंस एज आई हैव टोल्ड यू अर्लियर। ओके, सो लेट्स कंटिन्यू। You have called me torchbearers and I have come, but I am too weak to help you against the demon. He has sapped my strength to feed himself. You will have to find another way to fight Trinavarta. The name is Trinavarta. Trinavarta? Samita asked. Wait, I know this, Prem recalled. Trinavarta was a storm demon, like from the story of Krishna and Trinavarta. That's what I said earlier. The shape was closer now, and the resultant wind on the beach was whipping sand onto the children's arms and legs. Samita looked towards Prem. Can you give us a quick version, like super fast? Prem nodded. Trinavarta was a sandstorm demon that carried away baby Krishna. That's right, said Vayu appreciatively. Prem narrowed his eyes to see the demon making what could only be described as rude gestures at them. Kushal asked, so how does Krishna fight this Trina whatever? Prem continued, he makes himself heavy and Trinavarta has to drop him. Kushal threw up his hands. I knew we should have eaten breakfast before coming out here. Vayu was starting to scatter, but he whispered as he dwindled to a wispy breeze. You need gravity, torchbearers, gravity. Prem watched in disbelief as Vayu, or whatever was left of him, disappeared. Here was yet another cryptic non-answer. I'm so tired of riddles, Prem grumbled. First dad, now the gods. Too many secrets and riddles, Samita agreed, sinking into the sand. I wish the gods would just spell it out. I mean, how on earth? She grinned suddenly, struck by an idea. Hey, that's it! What do you mean, Samita? Earth. Earth has gravity. Her brother smiled in understanding. Yes, the earth. Let's call her Bhumi. The torchbearers closed their eyes, recalling their hymns to earth. Prem figured it shouldn't take them as long as this time around. But before they could begin, they were lifted up by the demon. He whirled them into a sphere of wind, clutched to his massive chest like a ball. They balanced precariously as the water, sand, and wind swirled beneath their feet and around their limbs. The demon spoke in a roar. Ever been in a tornado, kids? Want to go for a ride? You'll have to sign a waiver though, because this ride is guaranteed to be fatal. 3 pairs of eyes met in panic. Then Prem reminded them, Krishna was just a baby, wasn't he? When Trinavarta took him. We can handle the demon if a baby could handle it, don't you think? He hoped neither of his siblings would bring up the fact that Krishna was no ordinary baby. Thankfully, Kushal and Samita nodded bravely. Samita put out her hands, her brothers held them. They fixed their minds on the qualities of the other goddess, generous, strong, ever-giving. Holding hands tightly, like tandem skydivers, the torchbearers recited together. O Mother Earth, in robes of seas, sustaining life with azure ease, each seed returned as thousands more. We seek the pull within your core. Trinavarta laughed. You think I'll take pity on you because you're singing nursery rhymes? I don't care who you are. You are at my mercy. So tell me, would you rather be scattered among hungry sharks or dashed to pieces of rocky coast? The torchbearers fell, their joined hands weighted down for an instant. Samita opened an eye and saw a tiny orb of blue-green floating between the three of them. She tugged her brother's hands and they opened their eyes too. The orb began to grow until it was the size of a basketball. Trinavarta began to rise. The torchbearers saw the island fall away and their ears popped. orb, now glowing, unraveled into the shape of a woman, the goddess Bhumi, Earth. She was draped in a blue sari, decorated with green. She held out her hands. You know, I would have cooked a full meal, but you called me rather suddenly. So you'll have to choose among yourselves between a grape, a mango, and a moonbeam. I promise next time I'll make your favorite foods, but now you should eat quickly so you'll be full. See, now their understanding of what they had listened from the parents, what they've listened earlier through the hymns, through the stories, what their parents have taught them, they are able to find a solution to every problem. जहाँ जहाँ वो फंसते हैं वो उन्होंने उनके पेरेंट्स ने उनको क्या क्या सिखाया है, उन्होंने क्या क्या समझा है, क्या क्या सीखा है, वो उस चीज़ को एप्लीकेशन में लाते हैं और खुद से दे स्टार्ट फाइंडिंग अ सॉल्यूशन. तो वैसे ही हम लोग जब स्टडीज़ कर रहे हैं, हम लोग जब कुछ सुनते हैं अच्छी चीज़ें, हम लोग कुछ पढ़ते हैं, तो हमें उसको ये सोच के पढ़ना चाहिए कि इस चीज़ को हम प्रैक्टिकली कैसे अप्लाई करेंगे अपनी लाइफ में, तो वो चीज़ हमको हमेशा याद रह जाएगी. तो जब भी आप उस सिचुएशन में फंसोगे कभी या कोई प्रॉब्लम में आओगे, तो वो प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन उसका, प्रैक्टिकल यूज़ उसका आपको ज़रूर काम में आएगा. सो ट्राई, वैसे आप कोशिश करिए एक बार. कुशल chose the grape looking doubtful. Careful, it has a seed in it, Bhumi warned him. Samhita took the mango. One of my favorites, she said, and Prem took the moonbeam. Maybe you should swallow that one whole, Bhumi recommended. They looked down at the choices and then back up at Bhumi. She crossed her arms defensively. I wish you wouldn't look so disappointed. You know I'm not at my full powers. But that doesn't mean my gifts won't help you. The first farmer must have thought the first seed was too small to do much good. But that's how farming began. Go on, then eat up. Kushal and Prem brought the grape and the moonbeam up to their mouths. Samita was digging into the mango for the seed. Stop, she said. Don't eat it. Kushal and Prem looked puzzled. But why not? Samita hesitated. She wanted to explain that she had often marveled at the earth's generosity, and that she had planted hundreds of trees, and the miracle of that first sprout never failed to amaze her. Now, as a torchbearer, shouldn't she do more than just eat the fruit? Samita realized that her brothers were still waiting for her answer. The grape and bean still held in each of their hands. Because feeding ourselves is not how we'll unlock Bhumi's power. The first farmer, well, she had to decide not to eat the seed. She had to go hungry and put the seed back into the earth, she said. Understanding dawned on Prem, so that the earth could return one seed with thousands more. See now, it's about farming, the care, the love you give to the Mother Earth. When the farmer plants the seed, he doesn't eat itself. He plants it so that it grows more and more and he can distribute to all of us. So they have to control themselves and they have to always be generous like the Mother Earth. कि आप उसमें से कितना भी निकालते जाओ, कितने प्लांट्स निकालते जाओ, पर वो प्रोड्यूस करती ही रहती है. मदर अर्थ कभी ये नहीं बोलती कि नहीं अब मैं थक गई, आज मेरे को कुछ प्रोड्यूस नहीं करना है. So the generosity has to be learned from the earth. So we have to thank Mother Earth for the generosity. Kushal eased open the grape, juice squirting him in the eyes. He pulled out the seed. Then Samhita, Kushal and Prem held their seeds out towards Bhumi. Bhumi Devi, Mother Earth, will you accept these seeds? Samhita asked. Bhumi glowed brighter and grew until she was taller than the torchbearers. She smiled a new smile, full of promise. She held out her hands and now they were full of rich brown dirt. Despite the wind whipping around them, the dirt stayed intact. Hovering in the hurricane, the torchbearers placed the seeds into the soil in Bhumi's hands. Prem unhooked his ever-present water bottle and watered the soil. Some of the water sprayed about them, but enough fell to moisten the dirt. They looked at Bhumi's cupped hands until she clicked her tongue. A washed seed never sprouts, she intoned. The torchbearers dutifully closed their eyes. The whirlwind bucked around them. You are all awfully quiet, Trinavarta rumbled. Have you decided yet how you not want to die? Something wrapped around Samhita's wrist. She opened her eyes to see a vine curling around her hand. Bhumi's cupped hands were now laden with plants. She spread her hands apart, and the plants grew. Stems ballooned to tree trunks, shoots split to branches, sharp roots began to search for soil underfoot. Strangling vines, stalking creepers, and sporadic ferns multiplied, stretching out over Trinavarta, who began to slow down. His hands were tied to the sphere holding the torchbearers. He couldn't drop them if he tried. What is this stuff? He rasped, looking in horror at the roots digging into his shoulders and legs. Get it off! Flowers turned to fruit, which dropped heavy from trees. Trinavarta was losing altitude fast. Prem scrambled up Samhita's mango tree, pulling his brother and sister after him. Bhumi looked around at the rapidly growing plants and clapped her hands. Did you see my geraniums? I hadn't even known that they were there. And those mangoes, can you believe how ripe they are already? Trinavarta was skidding into the ocean. He neared the shore of the island again. I'll do anything, he promised. Just make this jungle stop. Prem was swinging his legs on either side of the branch. Why, you were going to kill us, weren't you? Why shouldn't we do the same? Trinavarta groaned as the mango tree began to pin him down to the sand, one root at a time. I have information about your father. Prem stopped swinging his legs. No way! It's true, Trinavarta gasped. Professor Tripathi and Amar Mehta, I know where they are. Stop this tree if you want to know. Prem nodded, and Bhumi touched the mango tree's trunk. The roots retreated a centimeter. Prem and Kushal jumped off of the mango tree and stood on Trinavarta's neck. You'd be better stalking, said Prem, teeth clenched. Just then Dr. Madhvi arrived at the beach in a panic. She was shocked to see Prem and Kushal astride a demon's neck, and Samhita sitting in an enormous mango tree with the earth goddess Bhumi by her side. See how importance. अब आज के ज़माने में भी अगर हम देखें तो कोरोना काल में जो हुआ, ऑक्सीजन की कमी इतनी आई, ऑक्सीजन के बिना लोग मर रहे थे. So why there is a problem of oxygen? If we are planting trees regularly, if we are giving gratitude to our mother earth and if we are generous like her, तो ये सब प्रॉब्लम्स तो कभी आता ही नहीं ना. हमने नहीं समझा, हमने नहीं जाना कि प्लांटिंग का कितना इम्पोर्टेंस है, मदर अर्थ का क्या इम्पोर्टेंस है. We were just into our own world, just development, all sorts of things we have done with the mother earth, all sorts of crime, all sorts of development, not changes we have done in this. So that's what have created all this mess. So children and friends, please try understand and be generous like mother earth. Be thankful to it, be thankful to mother Bhumi, the earth, कि वो रोज़ हमको सीड्स ग्रो करती है, प्लांट्स ग्रो करती है और हम वो खाना खा पाते हैं और आज हम सरवाइव कर रहे हैं. और उन प्लांट्स को थैंक यू जो खड़े हैं इतने सालों से बिना कुछ क्वेश्चन कीजिए कि मैं तुमको ऑक्सीजन क्यों दूँ. वो तो कभी नहीं पूछते. हम उनसे लेना नहीं चाहते, हम उनको कट कर देते हैं, बट वो तो कभी नहीं कोई क्वेश्चन करते. So please plant more trees, be generous to them and have your healthy happy meal. Be thankful to the nature. Always have a gratitude. Always have an attitude of gratitude. Okay friends? So अभी के लिए इतना ही. जिन्होंने टॉर्च बेयरर्स के पार्ट्स 1, 2, 3, 4 नहीं देखे हैं, they can just watch at the link in the description box and next time we'll meet for further.